Hello and welcome to Springboard, your virtual university. My name is Albert Okran, welcoming you on behalf of Team Springboard, ably led by Comfort. This is your most inspirational show and the point of convergence for the greatest minds. Springboard is brought to you by the Springboard Roadshow Foundation and proudly sponsored by MTN Pulse Just Be, the Enterprise Group Enterprise Your Advantage, UMB Bank, celebrating 50 years in banking, and the Central University, Ghana's premier private Christian university. Our media partners are the Multimedia Group and the Graphic Communications Group. So today, right in the engine room, we bring you once again the thoughts, the behind the scenes, lifestyles, choices, and philosophy. I'm using that word deliberately, philosophy of people at the front line of our lives, who we want to know the pains, the tears, the tough calls they've had to make in the course of their lives. My guest for today is a very big part of the virtual university. We call him a visiting professor here at the virtual university because he's been here probably more than every other person in the arts, and he's very, very popular right here. Since he was last year on the virtual university, he has gone on to published 2 books in one, traveled to Memphis recently on a tour to put Ghana firmly on the world map, and while there, won an award for the High Life Song of the Year. So we bring him back to his favorite place to unpack a bit of the Memphis tour, a bit of what's been going on, and then understand the thinking behind some of the initiatives he's been up to. Okyeame Kwame, the rap doctor, good to see you once again.
Good to see you, big bro. You make my head big. I mean, whenever I sit next to you,
it's your home.
I know.
This is your home. Congrats on the Memphis tour and your Made in Ghana initiatives. You come fully dressed in Made in Ghana. How does it feel?
It feels great to adorn yourself with yourself.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I mean, I've been tracking your Made in Ghana initiatives, and I know this is where Ghana, they are good friends of ours. They've actually been here in the studio to talk about Made in Ghana. But let's talk about Memphis. What exactly did you go to do, and how successful was it?
Wow, so Memphis in May is a program organized by the US government, and it's been ongoing for the past 30 years. So what they do is that they select one country that they think has a lot of culture and rich traditions, and they give them one whole month in May to exhibit their food, their philosophy, their business, their culture, everything, their music, art. So what we went to do was that this year, Ghana was at the forefront of Memphis in May. So they took more than 300 of us, I guess, including the Asantehene. And they took us over there to go and sell Ghana. So whilst over there, I did a theatrical performance with the National Theatre Dance Group. I did a 2-hour performance at the legendary Okyeame Theatre, which was amazing, one of my best performances ever. And the whole performance was about Ghana, the story. So on the show, there was the wearing of kente, the explanation of the Edinkra symbols, the music, the philosophy behind the history of our music, the evolution. It was amazing. And then we also did a meet and greet where the Asantehene and the mayor of Memphis was around, and it was Ghanaian businesses talking to businessmen from Memphis. And then beyond that, we had a whole day where the Asantehene did like an Aladekese procession of young, beautiful men and women dressed in kente, some dressed in fugu, and we all went to greet the Asantehene, and I saw the faces. You know, Memphis is predominantly an African-American society. 70% of the people in Memphis are African-American. So they came out in their numbers to come and experience the music, experience the food, and experience the businesses.
So I presume that this is tailored towards tourism, tailored towards trade, tailored towards cultural exchange.
Yes, sir.
But you mentioned something, selling Ghana.
Yes.
And that brings me to something I'm very keenly interested in. from where you sit as Okyeame Kwame, a made in Ghana ambassador, when you go out there to sell Ghana, what do you tell them about Ghana?
I tell them about the peace, which is key. And then I tell them about Ghana being the gateway and not just the window. I also tell them about the culture, which the peace is an integral part of. And then I tell them about the business opportunities that are available because of the peace, because of the peaceful political and stable environment that we have here. So, and I tell them about the surging youth, which is 57% of the youth. I also tell them about the number of graduates that we have between the polytechnics and all the private universities and the public universities. We are churning out 100,000 graduates. And all these people are ready, willing, and happy to work. So these are some of the things that we tell them about. We also tell them about the banking sector and how they can, we also have a meeting with them about investments. And another thing that I tell them, this one is at the cultural level, is that I tell them to not to aim too high when they are in Ghana. They should aim low, because aiming high means resources. It means a much bigger preparation. So when they are coming to Ghana, they should aim low. They should look at setting up incubations, selling food, coming to understand just one culture, not the whole myriads of all the different cultures we have, just choosing to understand just the Ewe culture. And then based on that, they'll be able to spring and scale up from there. So selling Ghana is a little easier than even selling myself. Why? Because Ghana is the most beautiful place in the world.
Tell me, you smile when you talk about selling Ghana. You feel very strongly about it, and I because we have a lot of interaction on social media, I get to see what you post about being proud to be a Ghanaian and being. Do you get the sense that this message resonates with the people that you speak to? When you tell them about Ghana, you see all the nice things you see. Do they receive it well?
You know, man had to go to the moon to discover the earth. So up until the time when we went up, we couldn't see the grand total of what the earth was. Same way, I had to go and live in America for 3 years to be able to understand that Ghana is beyond open gutters and rubber on the floor, and complaining. So yes, to answer your question, it's 50-50. People who have decided to love themselves, whenever we speak about loving Ghana, it immediately resonates. But for some of the people who think that the politicians are not doing the right thing, our fathers are not doing the right thing, the schools are not doing the right thing, for people who have a certain sense of entitlement, for them, when you speak of Ghana, they think that Ministry of Culture has given you X amount of money into kasa. When we went to Memphis, I posted something that when I die and come back, I want to come back as a Ghanaian. It's on Facebook. A lot of the people came to write that the government is flying you in and out of the country. That is why you are so happy to be a Ghanaian. But it has nothing to do with the government flying me. It is on my own steam. The Made in Ghana campaign is on my own steam. And I'm happy to do it. And I'm not complaining because I think that it is my responsibility to do it.
Let me explore two themes from your answer to this question. And you say that people who love themselves and who believe in their country can relate very easily to the message about selling Ghana. And you say that the opposite is people who are very caught up in the challenges that we have. And you say Ghana is more than open gutters and trash on the streets. I always tell myself that I find that people who are outside seem to love the Ghanaian story much more than people who are in here. And especially our friends who visit Ghana and who interact with what we have been able to do. They say anytime they go and come back, they see so much that they are happy about. How are we not able to get that message to be internally accepted?
I think that it is one of the gifts of our colonial masters was to tell us that everything of ours is wrong and it's fetish and it's backwards, and they put it in the education, they put it in culture, they put it everywhere. And because of that, our fathers accepted it and they have given it to us. Why are we not able to experience Ghana the way we are supposed to? It's because we are comparing Ghana to Germany, Denmark, and Johannesburg. And because we are comparing Ghana, we are not looking at Ghana on its own merits. Apart from that, is also the concept of money. We have been programmed through socialization that unless a person has found money, that person cannot express wisdom. So because Ghana is in quote unquote not a rich country, Ghanaians think that if we are wise or if we have knowledge or if we have intelligence, why are we not making money? So it is like a cycle that we are caught into, and it's a mental thing. So we need to, through education and through social media posts like the ones you post and through such programs, we need to make a conscious effort to let people know that it is all right to be conditioned in a certain way. But as you get to a point where you are an adult, it is not all right to unlearn the things you know is killing you.
So let's veer into those daily debates that we have. And if you have never ever been in our class, our philosophy class, please, where have you been? Okyeame is a visiting prof on my Facebook page, and we have a daily debate, and we just simply call it hard questions or big
difficult
questions. Hashtag big questions.
Big questions.
And then we say just asking. And what we have done is to deliberately ask thought-provoking but very, very simple questions. The kind that Larry King used to ask very often.
Yes.
Simple questions that you read and you're like, okay. It looks simple, but when you start answering, then it brings very deep thought. And sometimes there are as many as 1,000 people arguing. And Okyeame is featuring. And it's so big that, there are days when you don't come to lecture, people are saying, where is he? Call him to come. Call him to come and feature. And I love it because what it does is lend room. Somebody says on the radio show, I never got a chance to make my thoughts clear. There was no phoning for me to also speak my mind. On that page, everyone can share their opinion, and nobody's ever shut down that what you are saying is stupid or unacceptable. You share your thoughts, then somebody else debates you in a very clean, intelligent manner without any heat.
It's true.
No, there's no heat.
I think it's because it's on your page. People have a lot of reverence for you, Reverend.
But there are views that I don't share at all. But I would ask really one question: why? Then you get a chance to throw more light on it. And I must say that sometimes just by asking simple questions, I've gotten to understand why people think the way they do, even if I don't agree with them. And you are saying that there is a need to unlearn and relearn. Would you say that process of unlearning and relearning is the key to changing mindsets for this generation and beyond?
Yes.
Talk about that.
Yes. I think that the same way our gentle, kind father president has made it his business to give every education to everyone for free. I think that is one of the most honest, honorable things a leader can do for his people. I think that the content of what the children are learning should also be looked at. We need to look at it holistically as a nation. What are our children learning? Are they still learning that competition is the key to success, or they are learning that co-opetition is the key to success? I think we have to become intentional about what we are teaching the children. So,
what would you like to add that is not there now?
I think we need to introduce thinking.
Okay.
Thinking, class 1. I like the way they teach us math and they hide the problems in the puzzles, and if you are able to solve it, you move to the next level. But we need to overtly teach thinking.
Why?
Because without thinking, without you understanding the movement of thoughts as you observe it in your head, you are going to make compulsive decisions. And because our brain is throwing 90,000 thoughts a day to the average man, and more than 95% of that is in quote unquote nonsense, we are going to, if a person is compulsive and that person doesn't have a meditative way of looking at his or her thoughts, that person will choose 95%, will make 95% of mistakes in the day. So we need to teach children especially how to think. When you read the letter that King Leopold II wrote to missionaries to send to Congo, he said, teach the Negroes to read and not to reason. So there's something has been done to our reasoning, and I think it is the education system, it is the family system from father to child. But for a father to be able to give that freedom of thinking to a child, that father must be able to think. So I think that thinking, where does thought come from? What is culture? How am I supposed to evaluate my thoughts? What's the difference, the distance between a thought and an action? What are the consequences of this action? I think we need to teach children from class 1 until the university. Another thing that I would love to add is that anybody that decides to be a teacher, I think philosophy and psychology must be introduced at the secondary level. So anybody that decides to be a teacher must not be a person that didn't qualify for Legon Tech or Ashesi. It must be a person that wants to be a teacher. And that person, plus maths, English, sociology, social science, and other thing, must pass philosophy and psychology before they go. So they themselves know how to think. Because if a child knows how to think, that child will become something amazing.
This is Springboard, your virtual university, and this is not the Director General of the Ghana Education Service. On my show is the legendary Okyeame Kwame. That was a real name. One day I must remind them of your real name anytime you come to the studio, just in case one day they hear your name somewhere. They say, "So what's
my full name is Kwame Insia Apel."
So just in case you did not know, Kwame Insia Apel is the passport name, but even the passport office knows that he's called Okyeame Kwame. On my show today, helping us to understand the Made in Ghana program that he has been championing for some time now. And I'm hearing for the first time, Okyeame, that it's actually your own initiative, not commissioned by anyone.
No, not at all. So, Honorable Afeku, about 4 or 5 years ago, took a bunch of cultural ambassadors,
right,
and asked us to bring our strategies of how we can improve the culture and bring up traditions that are great by hidden. So I did my strategy. I said I wanted to use music because that's where my core energies go to. Music and social media to bring attention to. And then, unfortunately, she was changed. So since then, I realized that the path of bringing cultural elements and promoting trade and helping people understand the concept of branding and repackaging, and also increasing the psychology of the customers, so that someone in Kumasi making shoes will not make a nice sandals and put made in Italy on it, knowing that when it comes to Accra, no one will buy it. So that it gave me a lot of satisfaction. So I decided that I won't stop. So this is my own steam.
So it's your national service?
Yes, it's my national service.
By the way, did you ever do the actual national service?
Yes, I did national service. When I completed my A-levels, I was teaching English at Meduma.
Right.
And then there was this child in my class. After 12 o'clock, when they come back from lunch, and I'm teaching and I'm tired, there's like 60 children in the class. This boy will scream, "King Yellow!"
Why?
That was the time when Yellow Man had come to and the advert on TV. So every time I'm teaching, this child doesn't understand anything. All that he wants to do is shout "King Yellow!"
So you're saying that you did national service as a teacher?
Yes.
But this Made in Ghana is your voluntary national service,
yes,
to promote the country?
Yes.
What's in it for you?
For me, it is making sure that my children will find a much better Ghana than what I was presented. It is, yes. Right. Because, we don't inherit this earth or our society from our forefathers. We rent it from our unborn children. And it is our responsibility to make it better than we found it, and not just delete and ruin and leave it in shambles or shackles. So I want my children to complete school and decide to produce things knowing that people will buy what they produce. I want my children to complete school and come into a society that is full of love, knowing that he must not fight his way to the top. He can love his way to the top. I want my children to be in a society where the mindset is of growth and imagination. And unless I decide to get off my high horse, roll up my sleeves and get into the gutter and pick the rubbers and encourage patronage and patriotism, my children will come and find it the same way.
You talk about getting into the gutters. What is I don't want to call it the meanest, what is the extent to which you have gone, the investment that you have made? How far have you gone in trying to promote Made in Ghana at your own cost?
Oh, a lot.
Tell me.
Currently, I am working on a Made in Ghana show in the UK, and I'm not getting any sponsorship for it. Hopefully this summer we will pull it together, and the venue alone is more than £30,000, and we are not getting sponsorship. That is one. The whole Made in Ghana album I did, I went to 10 regions, recorded everything. I put all my money. The recording alone cost me a lot of money. If I say it, bloggers will take it. It will take the wind out of the sail. And then beyond that, it's also the way people attack me. Whenever they see that I'm talking about Made in Ghana, I put a question on Facebook without insulting leaders. Give us your contribution to what you think can make Ghana.
I remember very well.
Did you see the insults?
Is that not a reflection of how people feel, and is that not even a justification for the continued effort at changing mindsets?
Exactly. It is. So I'm not bothered, but to tell you the where people drag me to. Sometimes we want to have a conversation with people, simple conversations, low-hanging fruits with people who can actually make a change if they have ambassadors who are willing to do the work and the bureaucracy, and you move and push and push and push and push, and your heart is broken.
I share the way you feel, because at Springboard we also have a mandate that sometimes you wish you had a bit more of support for. Let me go on to the biggest of all the platforms in terms of conceptualization and ask a question that is very, very central to all this. That is, when you say made in America, they have an American dream. When you say made in Dubai, listen, even the taxi driver can tell you what their dream is in Dubai, because books have been written about it. The sheikh, they will let you know what the dream is, what their limitations are, and what they have fought their way through to build, and where they are going from. And they have models and maps and diagrams. They've built even a whole museum to show you where they will be in the next 50 years and beyond. Okyeame, as you travel across the world, as you travel across Ghana and talk about Made in Ghana and talk about Ghana, if somebody asked you, I know the American dream, what is the Ghanaian dream? What would you say?
The toughest question I've ever been asked since I've been on this road. I don't know what the Ghanaian dream is.
Why? Why don't you know?
Because there's not a centralized focus on what the dream should be. I know that when information will say that Ghana is gateway to Africa, and then culture will sell Ghana to you with smiles, and foreign affairs will sell Ghana as a business and an opportunity, and ambassadors like us will sell Ghana using the arts. So all of us have not come together to decide what the dream should be. But I think that the Ghanaian dream is a place where there's consistent peace, happiness, opportunities for both foreigners and locals, and a place where growth is not as fast, it's not as rapid, but it is steady and increasing. In my head, that's what I think the Ghanaian dream should be. Happiness, love, opportunities, growth, and gradual scale. But if you ask me to tell you, like the way we say the American dream is to get rich or die trying and pursue happiness, I will not be able to tell you what the Ghanaian one is.
Springboard, your virtual university, and my guest today, Kwame Nsiah-Appel, aka Okyeame Kwame, visiting professor both on the virtual university and on my Facebook page. And these are conversations that we have daily. It's almost like an extension of our afternoon every day. And these are the things that we debate about in our quest to build a better society. You may agree or disagree, and it's your absolute right. And the beauty about this is that we can disagree without fighting as we explore what is possible, what is challenged. And one of the biggest things that Okyeame Kwame is saying is that he's out there selling Ghana, but if you put a gun on his head and say, tell me the Ghanaian dream, he will give you one answer. If you ask him again, he may even give you a slightly different answer, because there's no centralized, documented dream that we all are selling, but that is not a limitation. He's still out there selling it as best as he can because we can't use our limitations as a barrier to progress. When we come back from this, we're going to go back to where he began, how he almost ended up doing the wrong thing in life, and those who helped him find his feet. And from where he found his feet, some of the foundations that he has laid 20 years ago to make him who he is today, so that those who are starting now can understand actually, and therefore it is a process. But while they are doing that today, can be encouraged actually, if you are struggling today, tomorrow is better. Stay with us, please don't go away.
There once was a man who had it all. He had skill, he had charisma. He was loved by all, but above all, he knew the importance of helping others, lifting others up. He knew the importance of giving other people an advantage so that they too would use that advantage to help others. All you need is that advantage that sets you apart from the rest. And when you discover that advantage, life's challenges don't seem so daunting anymore. That's where we come in. Enterprise, your advantage.
Give me some of that. Some of this, some of that. Give me some of that. Some of this, some of that. One, make you melt like the sun. Two, I can make it all about you. Three, you should make it all about me. Four, yeah, I think I like that more. Give me some of that.
UMB was established in 1972 as the premier bank for the corporate and private sector in Ghana. From our very beginning, as the only Ghanaian bank serving all categories of businesses, we set a standard for excellence and innovation. Over the past 45 years, we've built a financially healthy and strong bank, demonstrated our commitment to our customers and to growing businesses, and exhibited originality and innovation at every turn. At UMB, our focus is built around people, service, products and technology. These are the key to our present success and our future triumphs. At UMB, we're poised to make a difference not only with our customers, but also in the banking industry. We invite you to share in our future. Our future starts now with you.
Hello, I'm Aaron Wilson, an IT major student.
And I'm Jackson Aglazedino, an IT major student as well.
We developed this fingerprint attendance system because we're trying to eliminate the need of using paper and pen in attendance marking in Central University. So with this system, at least everything is on a database.
A fingerprint attendance system is going to be perfect for using a biometric. So we chose the Node MCU over this microcontroller, which is the Arduino Uno, because of the size and the embedded feature, which is the wireless card, so that the device can communicate with the laptop or the preview screen or monitor wirelessly.
This system is better because it's automated. Its features are automated. So on a typical day, a student comes to class and then places his finger on the attendance. Instantly, it records the time he comes to class. Now, when the class is due, let's say 2 or 3 hours after, he then goes back and then places his finger back on the device. It scans and then it displays goodbye Wilson. That is the student's name, in this case my name. And the time he leaves class is being recorded.
My stay in Central University has been a good experience. I've learned a lot of things in this school, some of which are creativity and enthusiasm. And this environment is so friendly and serene. The lecturers are so cordial. You can go to them if you're having a problem. They'll help you solve it.
So the student-lecturer ratio is really good, and it gives us, the student, the opportunity to actually seek help when necessary, and not just class or IT help, but help, let's see, if it's the profession you want to venture in and so on and so forth. I would strongly recommend to anyone out there to come to Central University, be it IT or any other program.
At Central University, whatever your dreams are, you will be empowered to achieve them.
Welcome back to Springboard, your virtual university, and to my beautiful conversation with Okyeame Kwame as we explore the engine room of his life, trying to track what he has done in Memphis in May, the book Love Locked Down, the recent award for the High Life Song of the Year, which, by the way, he's one of the most consistent recipients of the music award every single year. He says he's the only one who has received all the 5 different types since they started making the awards. They've changed the what they give out, the plaque 5 times, and he has all 5 in his museum. Very soon we'll commission a museum called Made in Ghana Museum, and we showcase all the awards. But this is brought to you by the Springboard Roadshow Foundation and proudly sponsored by MTN Pulse, the Enterprise Group, UMB Bank, the Central University, and our partners, the Multimedia Group and the Graphic Communications Group. On Tuesday, on page 18 of the Graphic Business, find the story of Okyeame Kwame rolled out in full on the whole page, capturing the details of all that he shared. And of course, that big debate is going on right now on social media. Which of the points he's making is your biggest? And in case you just joined us, he's been saying so far 8 things. 1, Memphis in May, what it represents and what is important about it. The second thing is about selling Ghana, what it tells people when he goes out there, and he says it's the most beautiful place in the world. The third thing is that loving Ghana is easy when you love yourself and you love your country. But when you are looking for faults, you will see the gutters and you will see the plastics, and you will not see the beauty of what God created in this country. I think that's one of the most beautiful points. The fourth is about internal acceptance. He says, right from colonialism, we have been socialized to think that everything we have is bad, it is fetish, it is demonic, it's unacceptable. And so we just struggle to see the beauty of what we have and then choose to compare ourselves to Germany and South Africa and say we have no money, so we have no voice. And that is not true. The fifth is that we need to do some unlearning and relearning to be able to rebuild our country. The sixth is about education. He says the best gift we've given ourselves so far is free education. However, the next frontier is to touch the content and do some changes, which include introducing thinking. He says psychology and philosophy must be compulsory at SHS, and teachers must be the best of the best, not people who could not do other things who want to now do teaching as a backup. The seventh is that the Made in Ghana is his own national service at his own cost, not sponsored by anyone, just to give back to a country and build a country that his children can be proud of. And the 8th point so far is that one about the Ghanaian dream. He says, honestly, he doesn't know. There's no central point to curate the Ghanaian dream. So what he has done is to carve out his own dream about peace, happiness, love, opportunities, and step-by-step growth as what he thinks the Ghanaian dream should be. And he thinks it's nice enough and it's good enough to go around sharing that dream with the whole world. Is that a good summary of your thoughts?
I mean, you have made it much more sweeter than I thought. This is from my Openese thinking. Yes, you clean all the rough.
Your first album was released in 1997, correct?
Yes, sir.
Early this morning, I said I dreamt about you.
Yes.
Because it struck me early this morning that this year is 25 years since your first album.
It's true.
So I didn't tell you before the show, and I haven't told you so far, but today I'm also celebrating 25 years since your very first album.
Thank
You've come very far, and we are proud of you here at Springboard.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So let's push on to your music now and start from a very interesting place where you began life, not even sure of what you wanted to do. And let's use that to speak to somebody who's groping in the dark, trying to figure out what their life is about. And so let's touch on how you started and how misplaced you were figuring out or what your father wanted you to do, and still try. What exactly did you want to do with your life?
I didn't know. I didn't have a clue. So when I was 5, my mother, who was a teacher, introduced me to poetry, Akan poetry. And everywhere that I recited these poems, the satisfaction that I gained from my audience, they were awed, gave me a sense that when I grow up, I was going to do something in the area of oratory. I didn't have an idea what it would be. But then I was born dyslexic, so I couldn't add, I couldn't speak. I remember that they used to call me Kwame Mum. So when my mom...
For those who don't understand,
Kwame Mum.
Tree.
Yes.
Kwame Mum is like Kwame Dumb.
Kwame Dumb.
Okay.
The Kwame that cannot speak.
Right.
And I didn't understand anything. So my father, who was a really intelligent man, or he had a lot of intellect, he had studied abroad and was an accountant, was general manager everywhere he worked at, would hit me in the head. Wabon, 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 wabon. My mother was also frustrated, so she took me to one of my school, and this woman, Miss Boama, would beat me because my mother has asked her to make sure I grow up, so he likes to play too much. So my dilemma, my first conflict was the fact that I would go to school and I think I'm being abused and beaten and picked on by teachers, and I can't come home to tell my parents because they have asked them to do it. And so I grew up depressed. My mom would tell you, during my teen years, when I was sitting down quietly, I would sit down quietly for hours and say, ah! And then my mom would say, why? I didn't know. Now I'm looking at it in retrospect. So as an adult, I know I was going through depression. So I went through this until I graduated from O-levels in 92, and I had all 9s, except Akan that I had 2. Everything, accounting 9, English 9, maths 9, everything was 9. And I remember my father cried when he saw my results. He said, to me, pa, mini, so me, pa, an accountant, me, pa, mini. And my father was accountant to the king, Asante king, was accountant to the Catholic, Methodist Catholic. He had written 6 books. My father was
brilliant.
Yes, and he couldn't understand why.
And your mother was a teacher.
My mother was a teacher. Wow. Couldn't understand why.
Perfect combination.
Exactly. Why I didn't know. So they decided, okay, if you won't learn, and if he doesn't want to learn, let us find maybe fitting or sewing or something for him to do. So I made a promise that I would learn. But at that very time, I decided to bring out, there's only one thing that I liked doing was poetry and languages and oratory. So I decided to focus on that one. I went to a young man in our neighborhood called Lord Marcus, and I asked him to teach me rap. So Lord Marcus said, you want to rap? Rap is for intelligent people, KRS-One, NAS, all these people are really quick in the head. So bring your result. When he saw my result, he said, "Oh, results in the rapper, you can't do it."
Are you serious?
Yes. So he said, however, you are not hopeless because you had 2 in account. So what I'm going to do is that every 4 days, you need to read a book and underline. So he will teach me a literary concept, metaphor, and say, go and underline all the metaphors in this book and bring it in 4 days. Go and underline all the similes, all the oxymorons, all the this. So in 1 year, I had read so many books. I didn't even have a place to step. So Lord Marcus had introduced me to something, the love for reading.
Did he link that to your account, which was your strength?
So he linked it, he realized that I was good with languages. In fact, the only reason why I failed in English too was because of the word kokrobite. I thought it was kokrobite.
Oh, really?
Yes, so I remember the essay. In that essay, there was kokrobite in it. So the essay was about some fisher folks, and there was kokrobite in it, and I didn't know it was a town because I'd never come to Accra. So I thought it was Kokrobite. So I failed there. But for that, I would have had. So he realized that I understood languages. So he used my love for languages. And then he used that like to bring out my maths and my English and everything. And so before I would do my Second World War, Lord, I had read so many books. I did my Second World War, passed and went to my sixth form. And from that time, all the cobwebs in my eyes were removed.
Tell me about how the Second World War results were.
Oh, I passed completely. I did my A-levels, I passed. I had a B in government, C in this one. And then I was going to the university in 97 when I had a producer and then I became an artist. Our album became successful. And I remember that an uncle of my mother's who was a teacher, he's actually a doctor, who was a teacher at Cape Vast, I met him 2 weeks ago, was the one helping me get admission. And there was something went wrong and my admission didn't go through. And I cried because all my friends were going to the university and I didn't get to go. But immediately I went back to Kumasi. We found a producer and then Brebro Bahima became a hit and the story changed. So this is God saying that you go to the school, but it's not time yet. You go to the school and pay your own school fees. But at that time, I didn't understand. I was depressed.
Let me go back to what you said on the same show in March 15th, 2020. It was the week before the lockdown. We were preparing for the Springboard Global Convocation, and you were billed to be a speaker.
Yes.
In one of the sessions on finding your talent. And you said something very interesting, almost poetic, about finding yourself. Team, let's play it.
If you know, you feel inside yourself that you are an architect and you find yourself in medicine, you kill people. If you are an accountant and you find yourself rapping, you will make bad music. If you are a presenter and you find yourself playing soccer, you will score yourself against the nation. So I think that it is very important that for us to listen to that still small voices in our heads.
2 years after, do you still subscribe to these thoughts?
Yes.
And what is that still small voice you talk about?
I think that still small voice is the voice of God, and for lack of a better word, the voice of Satan, and which is not always telling you to fornicate or do this, but helping you choose the wrong things because of what society perceives to be all right. So in our society, if you are not an accountant or a lawyer or a teacher or a doctor or a pastor, everything that you are doing amounts to nothing. You have failed. My mom still tells me that, oh, after you are done with your PhD, then you are going to find a job, right?
Even to
today.
How?
I'm telling you. So the whole the way society is curated, and I think that it is because people are afraid. So for you to be able to hear that still voice of God, which is a spark or a small fire of God that is burning in you, you need to move away from fear and understand that you are too much and you'll be able to handle it. So I think that even my conviction is much, much, much stronger now that I'm growing and I am becoming more reliant on God and understanding the extent of God's presence in my voice, in my DNA, in my cells, in my head. So now I even hear it much, much, much more clearer.
Right.
Knowing that whatever talent you have is linked to a purpose, which is linked to service to your community.
That still small voice of God, which is very prevalent in the scriptures, brings you courage to overcome your fear and brings you redirection to appreciate that you do not necessarily have to be a lawyer, doctor, architect to be somebody significant. Actually has roots in scripture. And let me even take us away from the still small voice to a verse in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 7, where Paul says, left me alone, I would wish that everybody were like me. But everyone has a proper gift from God, one after this manner and the other after that. And it's one of my favorite scriptures. everyone has something from God.
Everyone.
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 There is no one who is giftless.
Everyone has. It's just that parents transfer our fears onto their kids. And if they don't know, if they don't do what, we don't do what they want us to do, then they pronounce their failure on us.
Right. So are you saying that many of the people that we call failures are not really failures? Maybe they are running somebody else's race.
Exactly. Maybe.
Okyeame, let me explore something else that you said 2 years ago that I've never forgotten till today. This time I won't play back the voice. Yeah, I like the look on your face when I started playing it back.
Wow.
You were like, but there's something you said that I found extremely interesting. You said between 1991 and 1997, for 6 years continuous, you used to train 4 hours in rapping every day. And because you had no voice of yours, you were humble enough to go and take what Jay-Z has done, translate into Tree, and rehearse for 4 hours.
Yes.
I saw Michael Jackson's last rehearsal before This Is It tour that he died just before the tour. And I was looking at the extent and detail and the number of hours of rehearsal. Do you find that people sometimes want the award, the financial success, but are unwilling to pay the price for what it takes to be at the top?
Yes, 100%. But usually it is not their fault. Usually it's the fault of the conditioning of the society, which tells you, one, it has already misled you, so you are to play football, but you are in medical school. But why will you rehearse? Because it is a conflicting experience to do what you do not want to do happily with blissfulness. So that is one. And then secondly, sometimes we want what we want too quickly.
Why not?
Yes, we want what we want too quickly. And then the third one is that we are giving too many opportunities to do too many things. So it's a lot of the people that we call lazy it's just that they have not been given the thinking power to choose which of their talents serves them and the society in the best way.
One of the things that we've discussed on this show several times is teaching. You talked about teaching people thinking at an early age, and you said right from nursery, people should be taught how to think. We've been saying that right from nursery, people should be taught 3 things: entrepreneurship, they should be taught about talent development, and they should be taught about financial independence. So it fits into what you've been saying about curriculum redesign.
Is key.
But I want to find out from you, where did this love for philosophy, because thinking, philosophy, I mean, some of the things you articulate are highly academic in nature and highly thought-provoking. It's not, with all respect to the arts, it's not what you will find a typical musician engaging in. When did you make this transition into an activist, a thinker, a social transformation person? And does it still leave you with time to do your music and your performance?
Yes, I would think that I was very fortunate enough to have gone to Tech, and I studied Akan for my first degree.
Okay.
And final year at linguistics in a modern, we did a lot of critical thinking. So Professor Santi will put a poem down, an Akan poem, written by an 80-year-old woman who's never gone to school, and tell us to appreciate it, and all of us will get it wrong, So, and I remember that he will not teach Plato or Socrates or Aristotle, but he will teach Ubuntu. He will teach the I am because we are. He will teach the African philosophy.
Right.
And
just to pause, you come back to Professor what?
Asante, yes.
Interestingly, I sat in the class of Professor Kwame, one of the greatest philosophers Ghana ever produced, and his African philosophy class was very interesting. I was doing philosophy as a Sunday, so I got a chance to do the Plato, the Aristotle on one hand, and then the René Descartes on one hand, and also do the African philosophy that Professor Kwame was championing. So I got to appreciate the contrast, and I have a feeling that push by Professor Santi for you to do it, but do it with the African thought, may have subtly influenced your made in Ghana
not subtly,
outlook.
Not subtly. It influenced
Centrally.
Yes, it was central.
Right.
That was the point of awareness. And then after the awareness was the consciousness of self. Then I came to realize that, so my identity is that I am an African by body. Even though my spirit is universal, I am an African by body. And unless I come to accept that it is a present to be an African, I will consistently observe myself as an inferior part, an inferior member of this world, because that's what the world says. First world, third world, African. So I mean, he gave me the opportunity to understand myself from observing myself, and then introduce to me how I can elevate myself into the next dimension of first self-love and then service. Right. So he changed everything, and from that point, my music started changing. I started making more music about love. That was the point where I did Woso Komnigu, Woso. I realized that, okay, so this thing is not about me saying I'm better than everyone. It's not about me competing for Artist of the Year. It is about me using my talent to create content that everyone can tap into. So he changed everything. And from that time, I've not been, and it was also because of that very critical thinking class that I started my hepatitis B campaign. Because then I realized that, okay, I'm able to bring people together for what? To dance and gyrate. Beyond that, what can we do? Let us talk about health. Because health was the new wealth. So then from using bravado to go and organize hepatitis screening and education in Takrade for Ghana Health Services to come and stop me. I'm saying, why are you stopping me? I'm doing a good thing. They say, no, you are supposed to do this and that. And through that, I came to understand how public health works. You are supposed to go into the community, write a letter to here, do this, and then they started exactly. They started giving me nurses. They started helping out, and then when I started doing it professionally, MBS Lancet and the others also started investing in it.
You're very widely dispersed in terms of your engagement, your activism, and everything. But I want to end on a note that I find very, very critical. And so I have observed different. I grew up in Takrade, where CK Man, the Western Show Boys, and Papa Yankson and Co. held their own. A.B. Krensel and Co. held their own, and observed the landscape. And I've seen how one generation seems to have sweated it out and gotten very little. It happens in sports and other fields.
Yes.
And then the next generation came, learned from the mistakes of the other generation, and learned from their achievements as well, and built stronger brands. They understood education and took it to the next level and succeeded, made money and made global fame more than the earlier generation. Now, a next generation is also coming that is learning from you guys and what you have done, and Black Sheriff and Co. are doing some unbelievable stuff.
Kwame Eugene and Kidi.
I mean, Kwame Eugene sat on this show, he celebrated you so beautifully. He looks up to you big time.
Eugene.
Oh. He was so nice. I said, but that's my brother. But let's end on the note of reinvention, because while we are talking about people who are taking the lessons and moving to the next level, there are also people who are in this generation who are still caught in the old and not able to transition. How critical is continuous reinvention, technology, innovation, marketing in music and the arts? End with that one.
I mean, it's everywhere. Once the past is present, the present is missing. So you are in a relationship with your wife. She did something you didn't like yesterday. Every day you bring it up. You will not enjoy what she's doing that day. And this philosophy is in business. If we don't innovate, you dissipate. And in the music as well, the music, the most important currency for a musician or an artist is spotlight. It's when everyone is looking at your direction. And how are you able to get everyone to look at your direction? Is by being honest with your art and selecting what is important to that people. So we looked at we didn't only look at the experiences of Papa Yankson and Co. We also took their music. We took their music and put our raps on it. And we did the easy work. And then because of the changing times, we had the opportunity to get Coca-Cola, MTN, brand associations, and this one, and we made a bit more than they made. But now we are in the technology and the information era. Kwame Eugene, Kiddy, and Black Sherif, they have the opportunity to use TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and all those things, iTunes and Spotify and Amazon, that I don't understand. I actually paid a young man to sit down with me for 2 hours yesterday so that he will open my mind to what is happening. And they are getting 200 million streams. And these things were unheard when I was growing up. To be able to get my music heard in England, I had to now put my music at HMV. And my record label must have a catalog of 12 other artists and 12 other albums.
When I was in printing, I remember when Obuo did his hit song and he had to print labels. He had to come to the printing house and print labels with us and print 10,000, 20,000, and he was printing physical labels to put on cassette and go and sell. And for every 10,000 you print, people print like 50,000 and sell it in the market.
Exactly.
It's just such a different world.
It is totally different. And now everything is online. It eliminates the middlemen as well. So if you are indie artist and you record an album and you are selling it for $1 or one CD, and you have 200,000 streams, that is $200,000. So the whole idea and philosophy, but for an artist like me, I think the key thing here to be able to innovate is that you have to humble yourself to the system. If you are arrogant and you say, no, this is our time, those were the days, this is how we used to do it, and you consistently allow the past to be present, your present will be missing. So I think that the key idea here is to keep the past in the past. Take from it what you can use to better yourself in the present. But with the future in focus, you have to listen to that small voice.
The small voice is still here. It is still here. And you know what? I've come to one conclusion. You and I, we can never finish this conversation. And in case you say, it's 1 hour gone so fast, please, we do this every day. You are invited to join us on our Facebook pages. We have this debate every single day, especially in the afternoon when you've done some work and you want to get into the evening. And all we are trying to do is to encourage thought leadership, using very informal conversations, asking big questions, answering them, broadening our horizons, understanding people better. He says when he understood his Africanness and his love for himself as somebody specially created by God, his lyrics changed. It was no longer about just writing for awards and for fame, but making the world a better place. So here's a summary of the thoughts from this philosophical, made in Ghana conversation with my brother, Okyeame Kwame, and you can find it on Okyeame's Facebook page and my Facebook page. We are having a collabo on this one, a collabo album. Yes. 15 lessons from Okyeame Kwame. Please, let's go and have that debate there. Let's find out which of them is your favorite and which of them do you have your own dimensions on that you would like to contribute to. The first one is about Memphis in May, an annual event in the US that focuses on one country at a time, and this year was about Ghana, and you were part of the delegation that was led by His Majesty Otumfuo. The second is Selling Ghana, and he says that he talks to people about the peace, stable political environment, gateway, the culture, business opportunities, and a thriving young population, and the fact that this is the most beautiful place on earth. The third is about loving Ghana. He says if you love yourself, it's easy to love your nation. If you don't love yourself, or if you are focused on our faults, you will find many open gutters, plastics on the floor, and that is what you project instead of your love for your nation. The fourth is about internal acceptance. He argues that right from colonialism, we have been programmed to see everything we have as negative, inadequate, and even fetish. For that reason, we are very critical of ourselves, and even when we do well, we compare ourselves to South Africa and Germany and say we have nothing, and we add on the fact that we think we don't have money and therefore we have no voice and no thoughts. The fifth is about unlearning and relearning. He says that is the central tool or vehicle for changing mindset. You have to unlearn some things you've been programmed with and then relearn some things to become better. The 6 is about remodeling our education. He says, while we've done great with free SHS, the next frontier is to introduce thinking into our educational curriculum, ensure that philosophy and psychology are compulsory at SHS level, and also get teachers who are at the top of their game. Your mother is a teacher, so you are talking with a background in that. Yes. Says get the top people to be teachers and not people who have tried other things and didn't get it and then come and teach. He says it must be their first choice, the very best of us. The 7th is about made in Ghana. He says it's not somebody's sponsored thing, it is his own national service, something that he loves and has invested heavily in, including recording an album at his own cost and doing a nationwide tour to all the regions just to promote the country. Number 8 is about the Ghanaian dream. He says honestly he doesn't know it. And it's because there's no central place to go and curate what is a consistent answer. So he has framed his own thoughts about the Ghanaian dream that encapsulates peace, happiness, love, opportunities, and step-by-step growth. And that's what he sells when he goes around the world. The 9th is about a clueless beginning. And he says his mom introduced him to Akan poetry and oratory. But in reality, there was so much pressure on him to do accounting and math, which he really could not handle because he was dyslexic, and his learning deficiencies were not understood, and therefore he was seriously abused and beaten with sponsorship from his parents or approval from his parents. But interestingly, it was just a condition that made him able in one direction and unable in another direction. And you had 9s in all the subjects and 2 in Akan, and had to do a Second World War, which you did well in. The 10th was about discovery. Somebody who understood his challenges, took time to repackage math and other things like poetry, like language, and therefore he was able to pass them the second time and enjoy them in the process. The 11th is about the still small voice, and he says, if you want to find yourself, you need to pause from the giddy-giddy of life and listen to the still small voice of God that will kill the fear and help you understand that you don't need to be a lawyer, architect, doctor, or engineer to be somebody. You can be who God made you, and that is fine. The 12th is about preparation. 4 years, 6 years of doing 4 hours a day, non-stop rapping to start the day. And he says, very often people are in a hurry to get to the top, and therefore that quest for easy gratification makes them look for quick results, wrong conditioning, and wrong placement. Placement in the wrong place, and for that reason, they are unable to excel. The 13th is about the love for philosophy. And you see, it was in doing linguistics at KNUST and Professor Santi teaching you African thought. And choosing not to teach you Plato and Aristotle, but teaching you the thoughts of an elderly woman who has written a poem, sometimes even not educated, and it made you appreciate your Africanness. 14th was about the fact that philosophical antecedent or introduction has centrally influenced what you do as a social activist today, till today. That's very interesting. And the last one is about reinvention. You see, if we don't innovate, we dissipate. And the most important currency of an artist is spotlight. So humbly accept that what you need to put out there is what the people want and not what you think you like. And others, the younger ones like Kwame, Eugene, and Kidi, and Black Sherif have found a way to use innovation and technology. And older artists must humble themselves and learn or be left out in the cold. These are big, big hitters. Which one of them is your favorite? Join us in this big debate on social media about Okyeame Kwame. Let me give you a minute to look in the camera and tell somebody who is struggling and who is saying, make me an Okyeame Kwame. Please give them a minute of encouragement to close the show.
Oh, so if you are struggling and that you want God to make you an Okyeame Kwame, please don't do that. Become better than me. Especially if you are younger than me, please. Or even if you are older, become better than me. And please, do not look beyond yourself, looking for help. My uncle, my mother, my this. I hate to bring the God concept in here. But there's a spark of God in you. What it means is that you are a mini God. And because you are a mini God and there's the fire of God in you, you are capable. So please, don't aim high, aim low. Because if you are trying to build a wall, you don't take the whole wall and put it down in the ground. You put it brick by brick. So you want to be an artist, learn an instrument, buy a manuscript, go to YouTube, try something. Don't be afraid to get it wrong. Every time you try to learn something new, your brain tells you are dumb, you are not smart. But through repetition and consistency, it becomes a part of you. The same way when someone asks you, what is your name? You say Kwame without thinking about it. Whatever that you want to do will become a part of you. You wouldn't have to think about it to express it.
Several years ago, they called him Kwame Dumb, the Kwame who could not speak. By the grace of God, today, as we remember 25 years since his first recording, he's celebrated as having achieved so much, won so many awards, and gone beyond success to significance. My guest for today, Okyeame Kwame, aka Kwame Nsia Apo. And as we sign off, I want to say a big thank you to you, Okyeame Kwame, for coming. And let's do this again.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Any day, anytime. This is your home. And so on behalf of Team Springboard, led by Comfort, and our partners, MTN Pulse, the Enterprise Group, UMB Bank, celebrating 50 years in banking, Central University, the Graphic Communications Group, and by the way, that page 18 this week is all for Okyeame Kwame, and of course, our partners, the Multimedia Group. My name is Albert Okran, saying God bless you, and God bless you.